Hi, Steve King here. Well, this tutorial is going to show you a new technique for removing stars from your images using PixInsight. Now, normally if you use PixInsight, you could use StarNet to remove your stars, and normally it does a very good job. Sometimes, unfortunately, it will leave behind some artifacts. I've seen little cross-hatched areas, small areas, but very discernible after running StarNet. It doesn't always happen, but if it does, and you need an alternative approach or one where you have more control, you might consider this. Now, this is the image we're going to be using. It's an image I did of the Heart Nebula. And if you watch, I'm just going to click forward, and this is what it looks like after you run the star reduction process. So it does a very nice job. So if that looks interesting to you, follow along. The first part of this technique was developed by Jeremy Scheary, and he shared it with IP4AP, where it was presented some time ago. And they said it would be okay to share this as long as we give him credit. So thank you, Jeremy. Okay, so I have a set of icons that you see over here on the right side. And if you're looking at the video, if you look at the information right below the video box on YouTube, in the information there you'll find a link where you can download these icons if you're interested. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do is create a star mask. Now this guy, a lot of nebulosity here, and so I'm going to just raise this threshold up to 0.3. Okay, I'm going to zoom in on this star mask just so you can see the settings. The rest of the settings in this star mask box I would just leave like that. Should be fine. Have the smoothness set to 10. Okay, and at this point I would just drag this blue icon onto the image. I've already done this previously, so I will just close this and I will show you the result. And here's the star mask that it generates. Now, to use this star mask, first we need to binarize it. Open the binarize process, set the RGBK value to 0.07, and I always click the joint RGBK channels. And then you just drop it on the image and it binarizes it. Everything above 0.07 is set to 1, everything else is set to 0. Then you invert it. You can do that if this is highlighted by just clicking Control-I. And it's inverted. And now we have the star mask prepared to be used. And it's going to be used by, we open up the defect map process. In this first window here, we put in the name of the star mask that we've just processed. For my image, it's the only star mask open, so it has no number on it, but you may be star mask 2, 3, or 4. Depends on what processing you've been doing. Operation mean, structure square. Very important, structure square. And then we drop the defect map, drop the blue triangle onto SHO. And this will run for a while. I've already done that. And this is the result. So it's really done a very nice job. Now that may be all you need to do, and you may just stop at this point and you're done. But I will open it up and I'll show you. There's several faint stars that are still around. They may not be a problem for you, and in your processing you may be able to just go ahead and you'll never know they're there. But if they become an issue and you want to get rid of them, then you create a structure map. It's your star mask process. Again, I would move this to the same setting that you had before. But here, working mode is structure detection. Scale 3. Everything else is shown here. And then you drop this, the blue triangle, onto this map. I've done that, and when you do, you get the following. Now it looks like there's nothing here, but when you zoom it, you see it actually sees faint little stars. There's a blur process because the stars are small, sometimes only 1, 2, 3 pixels large. You need to do a little blurring to spread them out. And so use standard deviation 2. Just use these settings. Drop this onto the structure map. Okay, and it will do the smoothing. Then you open histogram transform. We're going to look at the structure map. Let's reset this. Go to preview. And now we stretch the structure map to bring these things out. How much do you stretch it? Well, we want them to be bright enough. This is going to be a mask, and each of these bright dots represents a star that's going to be removed. And since this is a mask, they need to be bright enough to allow the removal to take place. So they need to be bright, but not saturated. This looks about right. Not to be exact, but they need to be not dim. And then we take that structure map, put it as a mask on the image, and then we open morphological transform, 2 iterations, amount 1, and a 3 element as the size. And if we open this up, you see a lot of little bright stars here, or faint stars. This was developed by Jim Thommes, this approach to do this second part. And drop this on, bingo, they are gone. Well done, Jim. So now your image has no bright stars, and even the faint stars have been removed. But I will show you one thing to be aware of. When you do this second part, it does remove the faint stars. This is before it's done, and this is after. You notice how some of the little detailed little structure has been removed. This is before removing the faint stars. This is after. It's not really very much, but if that bothers you, then you may not want to do the second part of this. You may want to just stop after using the defect map. Okay. So we remove the mask. So here's our, let's just call this guy Starless. So once you have the Starless, you can do things to that and then put the stars back in. And if you're not sure or familiar with how to do that, let me just show you. Say we wanted to boost the color saturation a little bit. So we click on the S for saturation, color saturation, raise the curve up a little bit. So here it is before, here it is after. Maybe too much for some, but this is really for just illustration purposes. So I'm going to boost it a little bit, the color saturation. Then I'm going to create a luminance mask, apply it. So only the bright areas, the dark areas are protected, and only the bright areas are going to be allowed to process. And now we'll do a little Unsharp Mask. So let me take a look at this area here. Okay. And I'm going to do Unsharp Mask. Turn on the preview. Now, these are just some settings, just sharpens it up a little bit. Here you can see the window that I used. But again, this is mostly for illustration purposes. Okay, so let's close the preview. Let's go to the full image. Apply the sharpening. Okay, it's done. And now the SHO original image, let's go back to where it had the stars. Okay, this is the beginning. So if we want to put the stars into the final image, let's go to Pixel Math. And I did this a little bit earlier. In Pixel Math, you add the expression max for the RGBK tab. Do max of SHO and Starless. So it will compare these two images pixel by pixel, and whichever image has the brighter pixel, that's the one that will be chosen. Well, we enhanced the Starless and boosted the color a little bit, so in general, this picture will be brighter than this picture, except where there are stars. Where there are stars, then they will be chosen. Let's create a new image, and we'll just call it New. Okay. Apply. Here we go. So here's the image. So let me take the original SHO image. And now let's take the new image. So if we toggle between them, here's the original image. Let's just boost this up a little bit. Go to new. So we see new. If we look in this area here, let's go in a little bit more. SHO, the original, and the new one have more color, a little sharper, but it still has the same stars. the stars between the two of them look virtually the same because we're putting the stars from the SHO into the new image. So that's how you add stars. It's a very easy way. Okay, I hope this has been helpful for you. Thanks for looking and good luck if you try it.